Thank you for joining us for the Primetime Bulletin here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Coming up, President Mahama directs Attorney General to begin to consider possible prosecution of persons found to have misappropriated public funds in the Auditor General's report. Fuel prices remain unchanged at bi-weekly review by the Petroleum Authority. And more than half of the babies born in northern Ghana, according to UNICEF, die before they are a month old. Ghana and 5 others to benefit from $7 billion assistance from U.S. government to double access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. And despite his failing health, South Africans have been told to start working at the celebration of Nelson Mandela's 95th birthday. We also have sports and showbiz coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
In our very first story, the Attorney General is to set up a committee to consider prosecution of persons found to have misappropriated public funds as contained in the Auditor General's report. President John Dramani Mahama gave the directive at a senior citizens luncheon to mark the 53rd Republic Day celebration at the State House.
The 53rd Senior Citizens Luncheon at the State House in Accra was attended by a cross-section of senior citizens from all 10 regions in the country, traditional rulers, ministers of state, and civil servants from the various government agencies. The arrival of President Mahama signaled the official opening of the program. The recently published Auditor's General report revealed some financial misappropriation by some individuals and government agencies and recommended that such persons be punished. The President's directive followed a request by a representative of the senior citizens and the Dompiahene of Ekrapim, Nanaoye Mansa.
My third point is about the Public Accounts Committee Auditor's report. I have asked around, Your Excellency, and I've heard that a court should have been set up to look out for those who did wrong. And may I suggest that something is done, please.
She also called for greater role and recognition to be given to Queen Mothers under the Constitution.
If it's possible, because of the inherent equality given to both chiefs and Queen Mothers in the Constitution, may I ask that we amend the Act 759 to include Queen Mothers in all the formal institutions of chieftaincy.
President John Dramani Mahama heeded to her request.
Yes, it's true that audit reports are referred to the Attorney General for prosecution, and the appropriate courts exist for those prosecutions to take place. What happens is the Attorney General has to put in place a system for those prosecutions to take place. And so I'm asking her to set up a committee. I've whispered to her to set up a committee, and I'll write appropriately in the Attorney General's department to look at these audit reports and begin prosecutions in order to serve as a deterrent that people cannot just dip their hands into government money and misappropriate it and get away free.
He also underscored some achievements by government.
We're seeing growth rates averaging 8% per annum, and that gives us the hope that we have bright prospects of changing our people's lives in our lifetime. Increased school enrollment above 90% has been the result of careful targeting of the MDGs. Reduction of malnourishment from 37% to 5%, well ahead of the 2015 deadline for the MDGs, is a remarkable achievement.
The President also identified the growing youthful population and the increase in rural-urban migration, thus leading to an increase in urban poverty as one of the many challenges facing the nation, and called on stakeholders to be united in addressing the challenges of youth unemployment.
Meanwhile, some of the senior citizens have stressed the need for unity and peace to reign so the country can continue to develop. They spoke to Joy News' Eric Curtis Howard on the sidelines of the 53rd Republic Day celebrations at the State House in Accra.
We'll have to be tolerant, and then we have to learn how to accept defeat. If we learn how to accept defeat and we are tolerant of each other, then certainly Ghana will move forward.
About this time, 1960, I had finished my secondary education and about to enter the army, and there were very high hopes of a new Ghana, a new vision, a new president. Everything was just wonderful. But I believe that we need to work a little bit harder to get to where we want to go. As a people, we need to come together and work harder to move Ghana forward. 53 years is a long time, but we haven't gone as far forward as we thought we would get. We've achieved something, but not what I would have thought we should have achieved. We need to work a bit harder than before.
This is all about the politicians. We need to come together and then form one and move the country forward.
What I think we should do, Ghanaians are not prepared to do it. To speak the truth, to be honest. Very few are honest. You see the things happening in the country. So much stealing, so much cheating. The rest I will say.
Well, a senior research fellow at the Institute for Democratic Development and Governance, Dr. Cozy Jonah, says democracy in Ghana and, for that matter, Africa cannot thrive without the basic tenets of good governance being fulfilled. According to him, good governance should be a fundamental obligation to those who vested with power to rule. He was speaking at the 3rd Ghana National Union of Polytechnic Students Republican Day lecture.
The 3rd Ghana National Union of Polytechnic Students Republic Day lecture was on the theme, the role of the civil society organizations in deepening democracy and good governance in Ghana. According to Dr. Cozy Jonah, a country cannot profess to be democratic if it does not imbibe the basic tenets that go with good governance. He noted, government and good governance cannot exist in a country without the rule of law.
Political obedience is conditional upon good governance. If you are a ruler and you don't govern your people well, you are not entitled to political obedience, and the people have every right even to revolt against you and remove you. So there is no if or buts. Once you are ruling the people, you must govern them well. Otherwise, you forfeit their obedience.
The executive director of Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, believes civil society organizations should endeavor to stand up for good governance from individuals entrusted with authority. He charged Ghanaians to always demand accountability from any government in power.
Well, governments do all the things they do in order to survive. That is why getting to elections, they have to come and tell you all the things that they have done for you, supposedly. So the point is, there must be some room, there must be some respect for citizenry in terms of their participation in the democratic space, as well as the voices that would help them to activate that participation. And the voices that will help them to activate that participation, obviously, civil society.
Host of City FM morning show, Bernard Avle, noted the current state of the Ghanaian media is a reflection of the kind of society we live in. He said the media should lead the way in demanding good governance in Ghana.
The state of the media in Ghana today is a mirror of the level of excellence we have as a people. It is a reflection of our national conversation, what we value, what we think and talk about, how we think and write and reflect on things that are important. The purpose of a mirror is not to justify your assumptions about yourself or to massage your ego. It is to point you to the reality of your situation.
Now we have more Republican stories coming up. Right now, statistics from UNICEF indicate more than half of the babies born in northern Ghana die within the first month of life. Now that's a harrowing statistic, which in other words mean thousands of babies do not get to live for more than 28 days in that part of the country. Felix Akoyam reports a UN agency and the Japanese government are working together to offer some support to tackle the situation.
Previously, we used to put certain things into the umbilical cord of babies, give them water, and this was giving us problems. Sometimes they would turn their eyes, their face yellow.
Hawa Adam, who is 40 years old, and she recalls the hard time she went through to deliver 9 out of her 10 children at home. Although she did not lose any of them, her children were always ill.
We used to have problems with diarrhea, children falling sick, getting sepsis, a whole lot of problems.
More than half of infant deaths occur in the first month in northern Ghana. According to the Ghana Demographic Health Survey, 57,000 children under age 5 die every year. Most of these deaths are not reported in northern Ghana. The major causes of these deaths are infections. UNICEF, with support from the Japan government, has started a newborn care project in northern Ghana to help reduce the deaths. We met community health nurse Paul Bani, who benefited from the training by UNICEF. Paul attends to about 5,000 people in 5 communities in the Boko West district of the Upper East region. He provides antenatal and postnatal care for mothers and babies in the 5 communities.
I will say I have gotten to 85%. Because of this frequent visit every week and me meeting them and getting to know them more, I actually get to know them more and they also know me more. So we are now free. So I start the immunization very early. So defaulters,
Some mothers admitted they had seen a significant improvement in the health of their babies.
I'm very grateful for Paul's presence here because the time we used to give birth, we will become pregnant, we suffer through the pregnancy. Sometimes we give birth and they die.
Up next, we bring you your report. On your report tonight, Sedem from Mamobi sent us this video of heaps of refuse at the Malamata market in Accra. And Sedem said he was worried traders sold in this filth while city authorities looked on. And he's cautioning people against buying food from such conditions. We're taking a break, but there are more stories coming up. Don't go away. Now, as Ghana commemorates its Republican status, you'd expect that the country's founding president would have a special place in the commemoration. Well, he does have a special place, the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, except it appears its glory is fast fading. Joy News' Yajenfi has been to visit, but didn't meet too many people excited about the facility.
The Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum Park was inaugurated in 1992. The magnificent marble monument has been the last resting place of the first president of Ghana and his wife. The mausoleum holds the personal belongings of the former president, and it also has on display pictures, effigies and items that were used by the first president. In February this year, his family members handed over some clothes of his to the mausoleum to add to exhibits displayed at site. As one of the major tourist sites attracting visitors from home and abroad, authorities say domestic tourists forms about 80%, with school children being the most patrons.
Our peak season is for foreigners June, July, August. And in a day, we could have about 250 people passing through. And for Ghanaians, it's also usually when the schools are about to take their midterms or closer to their vacations. That's why we have a lot of Ghanaians coming. One is for Ghanaian students, it could be over, in our peak season, it could be over 500 kids a day.
But as a major attraction, it is faced with a number of challenges like the unavailability of water.
We rely on Ghana Water Company for water for the ponds and then to keep our lawns green. Unfortunately, the water supply is erratic. So we will take this opportunity to appeal to corporate bodies or as part of their social responsibility to help assist us with a borehole, a mechanized borehole, that we can have water for the fountains and then to water the lawns to keep it green all year round.
Some tourists we met at the grounds expressed some concerns about services offered at the place.
In terms of standards, not fully. I would say that the staff at the gate wasn't as friendly as I would anticipated him to be. I think I expected him to be in probably a uniform, because to me it's such an iconic, powerful place. Your first impression should be an everlasting one.
When we went inside, there wasn't anyone to kind of explain certain things to us, so we just have to just go around and stuff like that.
A tourist agent, Kwekweje, also attested to the fact that the number of tourists to the site has reduced.
I used to come here sometime in the month. I used to come here like 4 times or 5 times. Sometimes I'll come here, I'll meet a lot of cars. Sometimes I'll meet like 3 or 4 cars. The tourism board, they don't do well. They have to manage it well. That one there, they have to manage it well. Because we are doing, tourism gives us a lot of money. Yeah. But our tourism board, they don't help us. A lot of places, Tafia Tome, where the monkey century is, Mantavayato, then Willie Waterfalls. A lot of places, people don't want to risk their car.
The low patronage of the site lately has also affected these vendors at the entrance of the mausoleum.
Business is not that good, but in the olden days, business was good. Yeah, I can say, let's say, last 2 years, 3 years, yeah. In the days I can make a sale for even a day. One day I can get 1.5, 150 Ghana cedis. But now currently 30 Ghana. Actually, I don't know where it's coming from, but I believe that cult and those things, they should stop. It makes the foreigners, they are afraid to come. They know that when they come to the country, there is going to be a war. Yeah, so they are afraid.
Now, the MCE for Takwa municipality of the Western Region, Christina Kwame, has challenged the youth to contribute their quota towards the betterment of the nation. She made the call during a program to honor senior citizens in the Takwa municipality of the Western Region as part of activities marking the Republic Day celebrations.
Participants were given a treat as they were made to participate in various activities including dancing competitions. Among other activities, we saw most of the participants dancing their hearts out. They were also offered the opportunity to share their experiences and also offer advice to the upcoming generation. The MCE for the Takwa municipality, Christina Kwame, in her address thanked the participants for their contribution towards the development of the nation. She added the act is worth emulating and encouraged the youth to do same. She also used the opportunity to spell out some of government's plan for the development of the municipality, especially in the area of education and development.
Senior citizens in the Upper West region want doctors born in the region to return and help their communities. They expressed their communities. They expressed concern at the meeting of the annual senior citizens, as part of activities marking the Republic Day. Rafiq Salam's report from Wa.
The Republic Day celebration afforded senior citizens the opportunity to interact. Concerns raised at the meeting included poor quality of education and the acute shortage of doctors in the region. A former member of Council of State in the Kufuor administration, Alhaji Al-Hassan bin Salah, expressed worry about inadequate doctors in the region.
I know, as you know, we cannot do everything, but still, we have something to do. And because we cannot do everything, yet we have something to do not refuse to do the something you can do.
The Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Ephraim Avia Enso, stated that it was important the younger generation appreciate nation building in order for them to have a sense of sacrifice and dedication to duty.
The influence of foreign culture, particularly when it's negative, misplaced modernization, I want to emphasize this. materialism and greed are eroding the moral fiber of our people.
Rafiq Salam's reports from Wa.
Minister of Transport Jiva Ativo has expressed optimism Ghana's second Eurobond issued could be the key to addressing some of the challenges currently facing the sector. She tells Joy News the railway and maritime subsectors have projects that will rely on funding from the $1 billion bond approved by Parliament last week.
The purpose of the Eurobond is to, among others, diversify the country's sources of funding for development projects. The bond would be used as counterpart funding for projects already approved and capital expenditures in the 2013 budget statement, with priority given to self-financing projects. It is also for the refinancing of maturing domestic debts to reduce the cost of borrowing. The Minister of Transport, Jiva Ativo, is hopeful the approval of the bond would help the ministry address a number of challenges in the performance of its mandate. She disclosed the railway and maritime sectors currently needs over $1.4 million to undertake some projects.
We are hoping that the Eurobond that is being floated will be allocated enough to enable us carrying out of our projects. If not all of our 845 million, but a chunk of it to enable us deliver on this project. Because, for example, if we don't get any money now, the Western Rail Line that is on GOG will have to come to a halt.
Meanwhile, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport says it will withdraw and relay the Marine Pollution Bill before Parliament next week.
The Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Kwame Dumfe, has challenged alumni of the various education institutions to invest in their schools. Speaking at the alumni homecoming, he said such contributions could enable government channel the funds due these institutions into addressing more pressing challenges.
The University of Ghana Business School hosted for the first time all past students of the school since its establishment 50 years ago. Though alumni of the individual year groups had been meeting, this homecoming was to share experiences and highlight some challenges of the faculty and ways to resolve them. For some alumni, such occasions are moments to cherish as they offer the opportunity for past students to support their alma mater.
We have not met for a long time. You come and you remember the jokes, the life you led on the campus. So it's very exciting. Let me say the challenges are greater now than at a time when things were relatively good for everybody. At least in any society like this, there are three ways you can contribute. You can use your strength, you can use your brains, and you can use your finance. So we are going to see how we can bring all these resources together and then move the situation forward.
I think homecoming, we those of us who, by the grace of God, we've got opportunity to go through some of these schools. We should see it as an opportunity for us to also give back what we got from the schools. So those of us who have gone through that and by God's grace are in some position or better position to assist, at least little drops of water will make a mighty ocean, as the saying goes. So we all, the authorities must try and rally us together. And like I was trying to put across, they must also make it easier for people wherever they are to contribute. So they should create an account where at the end of the month, for instance, if you want to drop about 10 Ghana cedis or 100 Ghana cedis, it can be easier. So by that, they will be able to enhance their facilities and give the opportunity to the young ones who are coming.
For the University of Ghana Business School, space remains a big challenge as admissions have increased from 500 since 1965 to over 3,000 currently. The Dean of the school, Professor Kwame Dumfe, indicated that though there is an endowment fund set up by the alumni to help address some of their challenges, very few of them donate into the fund.
When we started with our building, Yale School of Management, they also started. And now they have completed. They didn't rely on a loan, they didn't take a loan, they are not using internally generated funds, but rather the alumni, which has put up a building which costs millions of cedis. We can do a lot, and I think we're looking at the economy. If even the economy is strong enough, we will still have to give back to society because we benefited from here. And by giving back to society, alumni can look at their alma mater and then donate. We have alumni in thousands. So if at the end of every month, each one of them even donates just 1 Ghana cedi, the quantum of that for a period of years will be sufficient enough.
The homecoming dedicated to the University of Ghana's 65th anniversary also marked the induction of a new executive body to steer the affairs of the various year groups.
Now, mobile phone users on a daily basis are constantly bombarded with unsolicited calls and texts, mainly from their network carriers. From promotions to alerts about service upgrades, well, some of which are useful, but then these calls that come through only for you to answer and hear an automated voice announcing one celebrity or political figure or another. How do you deal with these intrusions? Marianne Toure has been finding out in the first of a two-part series on the mobile phone nuisance we are forced to live with.
Unless you're living a seriously alternative lifestyle, you have probably been communicating via text for a while now. You text your friends, colleagues, boyfriend or girlfriend, even your parents. Yes, I text my mom and she replies. Well, most often than not, her replies just don't cut it, but you get my drift. Texting is quick, convenient, and usually makes your life a whole lot more pleasant. Except when you come face to face with a nightmare message from your mobile phone service provider. I went out to town to get public sentiments on this rather annoying occurrence.
It disturbs me a lot, seriously, because sometimes it keeps my inbox full up, so I don't like it. When they text me, messages I don't like.
Sometimes I feel disturbed because I'm a student, and when I'm learning, I get confused sometimes, and I don't subscribe for them. So sometimes I get surprised, which something is I don't expect. So I get surprised and I get confused. So it disturbs me a lot. Something I don't expect from them. I hate it. I don't want it from them.
I don't think anyone is interested in having those kind of bulk messages on his phone, because you wouldn't even get the time to read them. And moreover, you know, of late, coming these days, because of this WhatsApp that we've been using, we do have problems with our batteries. You understand? So when these messages keeps coming, I think it's a bit worried. And we're having a problem about it. So what I'll say is, when someone does not subscribe for anything, then the telecommunication network shouldn't send such messages onto our phones for us.
It's pretty annoying sometimes. I just delete them when I see it. And sometimes they keep sending the same message over and over again. And sometimes maybe you are expecting a message or a response from someone and you hear the notification alert, you think that's it. And then you check and it's a network sending you a message. It's quite annoying.
Ha! It goes to show I'm not the only one who is livid about these unsolicited messages, but a lot more questions remain, like who is sending these messages? Where did they get your details? Are these messages legal? What should you do? How can you stop these messages from these organizations? And the big one, what legislation is government putting in place to protect our rights as consumers? I'll be sure to follow up and find you all the answers in my subsequent report. For Joy News, Marianne Toure reporting.
Right, so whilst Marianne goes to find out the answers for you, you can just get onto our Facebook wall and post your comments. Just get us your reaction to some of these calls that you get and the text messages that you keep getting and you don't want. Up next, we bring you business news. Now, it appears consumers may have been spared the bi-weekly review of the prices of petroleum products expected to have come into effect today. Though the National Petroleum Authority had told Joy News their review would take place, it would not say whether the expected increase would be effected. But Joy News checks at fuel stations in the capital, Accra, indicate the prices remain unchanged. It however appears the commercial drivers have some other concerns apart from fuel price increases on their minds.
Some fuel station managers were unaware of the bi-weekly prices review by the National Petroleum Authority.
3 days today, there's one taxi driver came here and he asked us, he has heard that they are going to increase the fuel. And we say, no, we haven't heard anything. And that's the situation here. So we haven't heard anything that the increase will come. We are selling it at the old price.
To be honest with you, I don't have any information about such increment. We are selling as normal.
For these commercial drivers, constant supply of the product is their worry.
Taxi driver, Jimmy. Mom, if you petrol car, me no gentle. Petrol, that when a bar because petrol be when you want to.
They say there's some way increasing our Munyabu truck crescents and no Munya. Yaquajuma, Juma Munyenti.
Others are worried about how much should be added to the current price if there need be. The National Petroleum Authority bi-weekly review of the prices of petroleum products is to ensure prices are adjusted based on prices on the international market.
The Japanese ambassador to Ghana, Naoto Nikai, has pledged his country will continue to support Ghana's development despite its middle-income status. He made the pledge during a courtesy call on the Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Ephraim Avia-Nso, at his office in Wa, urging the international community not to turn its back on Ghana. Rafiq Salam filed a report for Joy News.
The Japanese ambassador to Ghana, Naoto Nikai, is on a tour of the Upper West region to see for himself projects and programs that have been supported by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, in the areas of education and health. He was accompanied to the office of the regional minister by some officials of the Japanese embassy. Ambassador now told the regional minister that despite the huge investments they have made in the region, his visit showed that there is still more to be done in order to move the people away from abject poverty. He said, although Ghana attained middle-income status, Japan will not shut the door on its support to the country's developmental goals.
Despite the fact that Ghana now has become middle-income status, my government is determined to continue its support to the development needs of this country.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Ephraim Avia-Nso thanked the Japanese government for their support to the region over the years. Two regional directors, Dr. Alexis Nangbe-Fuba and Joseph Falong of the Ghana Health Services and Ministry of Food and Agriculture respectively, laid bare some challenges in their areas of work and called on the Japanese to support them in those areas.
The regional hospital with one theater doing orthopedics, general surgery, everything, plus maternal cases. And the maternal wing is like about 50 meters away. If a woman needs operation, you have to be wheeled all the way up to where the only theater is. When it's raining, then the vagaries of the weather affects the person, and time is of essence when you are working on the woman. So the only thing we will be asking for is a theater for the maternity wing, which is so far away from the general theater. And a theater is just a hall of this nature with the equipment. That is all.
Rafiq Salam's report for Joy News from Wa.
Well, from tomorrow, businesses and individuals will be limited on the amounts they can withdraw with checks given to them to clear over the counter. This is because the Bank of Ghana has directed commercial banks not to honor checks exceeding 10,000 Ghana cedis over the counter. The regulator is rather asking the banks to pay these monies into the accounts of such bank customers. Head of Banking Supervision at the Central Bank, Franklin Belnier, explains that this is in line with the global movement towards a cashless society, adding that the regulator wants the public to move to other modes of payment rather than relying on cash. And he joins us on the phone line right now to explain a lot more to us. Good evening to you, Mr. Belnier.
Good evening.
All right, so you're trying to explain the rationale behind this directive from the Bank of Ghana.
Yes. As we already indicated in the notice, we try to encourage the public to move towards the use of other modes of payment than cash, because we want to encourage people to not just rely on the use of cash, which is bulky, which carries with all kinds of risks, but use other more secure modes of payment in the banking system.
Okay, so how exactly is this directive going to be implemented? I issue a check to somebody and it's more than 10,000 cedis. If they go to the bank tomorrow, they're not going to get that cash.
Yes, if the check is going to pay into an account and subsequently drawn against by the third party, there will be no problem. But if the person, the holder wants to withdraw cash and it's more than 10,000, then he might have a challenge there. And the idea is that we've had some challenges with third-party checks across the counter. You know, when we moved away from the normal clearing where we're clearing physical checks to the check truncation system where the image of the check that is captured, sometimes banks they get an image, and because it's carried through electronic media, it's not as clear as the ordinary check that they have to examine, ensure that the amount in words and figures agree, the check is regular on the face of it, and all that. And so banks introduced a way of verifying whereby they even call the customer to confirm that this check is actually issued by that customer. But even that, there have been instances where there's been confirmation, but it turned out that even the confirmation that came was not from the original issue of the check. And so we want to encourage people to use the banking system. By all means, let's use checks. But if the check is passed to an account, then there's an audit trail. Otherwise, let's limit the risk to the customer who issued the check through the bank which is making the payment. So we encourage people to limit how much they can collect across the counter, and to resort to either use passing the check through an account and withdrawing with their own check, or limiting amount to a lower amount that the risk can be borne by both parties without much problem.
Okay, now I gather that this is going to hold for now, and that you intend to intensify it come next year?
But we intend to encourage, this is a pilot in the sense that we started with the 10,000 amount. We intend to lower the amount in 2014 so that we can gradually move towards using the banking system for their transactions. In other words, when you get a hold of a check, you pay it into an account, you can draw against it. The customer, the holder of the bank knows the customer, he knows your account, and he can verify. But we want to encourage people to migrate towards the use of the banking system in their transactions rather than withdrawing huge amounts across the counter with all the problems that comes with. Now, you recall a few years ago, with that instance of people withdrawing money from their bank and then being robbed along the route. We want to move away from the reliance on cash as a mode of payment.
I can understand, but how much education has gone on? Because I can envisage that tomorrow people go to the bank and they have checks more than 10,000 cedis, especially the traders, and they're told that they can't withdraw, and there's likely to be chaos.
Yeah, we informed the banks about this about a month ago and informed them that it will take effect from July 2nd. So we expect that the banks would have educated their customers about this requirement, and so we don't expect there too much for it. But if there is, the people have to be educated. We are doing this for the common good of the customer. It is for the benefit of the customers, and they need to understand it and abide by it.
All right, thank you very much. You heard Franklin Belnya. He's the head of banking supervision at the Bank of Ghana. And the news is that tomorrow, if you're giving a check, which is more than 10,000 cedis, you're not going to get that check giving to you or that cash giving to you over the counter. You have to deposit the check into your bank account. But in other businesses, Ghana and 5 other African countries are to benefit from a $7 billion support from the United States over the next 5 years to double access to electricity across Africa. U.S. President Barack Obama unveiled the initiative on Sunday in a speech at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. He said the initiative will focus on expanding access to electricity in 6 African countries, including Ethiopia, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria, and Tanzania.
According to a White House fact sheet on Power Africa, an additional $9 billion will come from private companies like General Electric and Symbion Power. Ghana, Ethiopia, Kenya, Liberia, Nigeria and Tanzania have set ambitious goals in electric power generation and are making the utility and energy sector reforms to pave way for investments and growth. Power Africa will bring to bear a wide range of U.S. government tools to support investment in Africa's energy sector, from policy and regulatory best practices to pre-feasibility support support and capacity building to long-term financing, insurance guarantees, credit enhancement and technical assistance. However, these contributions fall short of the $300 billion required to achieve universal electricity access in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030. Obama pledged to continue U.S. investment in health programs, particularly the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, which supports developing countries in their national responses to HIV/AIDS. He also called on African countries to join efforts to end war and conflicts on the continent to pave way for democracy and economic development.
A fast-moving consumer goods company, Unilever, took advantage of today's Republic Day holiday, as it does on such occasions, to educate the public about hand washing. Courtesy is Lifebuoy brand. A large number of holiday revelers were sensitized on effective washing of hands to keep germs away.
Clean, active and healthy is intrinsic to everyone, irrespective of age or economic status. Lifebuoy understands this need and champions the cause for hygiene and health around the world. An inspiring vision for more hygienic, healthier and ultimately more vital communities is the driving force behind the Lifebuoy brand. To realize this vision, Lifebuoy looks to consistently innovate and provide accessible hygiene and health products to a wide variety of consumers. The vision also commits the Lifebuoy brand team to visible action, inspiring projects that motivate consumers to improve their hygienic behaviors. The Lifebuoy brand is a brand that puts the health of the family first. With its multiple soap variants and specially designed body washes, Lifebuoy protects families from 10 infection-causing germs. These, along with its range of liquid hand washes and hand sanitizers, ensure daily hygiene and freshness for the entire family. It is in this regard that the brand chose the La Beach for the sensitization of the youth who are the most vulnerable.
Today is 1st July and most Ghanaians go to the beach to celebrate the holiday. Now what we've realized is that a beach is a place where people can easily pick up germs, and so we decided to partner with La Beach to sensitize people on the benefits of hand washing. And as a brand that protects people from germs, we are here to demonstrate to them how to wash their hands very well and the 5 critical periods where they need to wash their hands, either before they eat, when they come out of the washroom and all of that.
He also believes Lifebuoy has played a significant role in the reduction of the cholera in the Greater Accra region.
I think many organizations, including Unilever and for that matter Lifebuoy, have championed the education of hand washing. Okay, so it's something that we have done over the past, and we believe that that has also contributed to the reduction of cholera and diarrhea in Ghana. So germs are everywhere. You just have to know how to keep yourselves away from germs, which is washing your hands at most 5 times every day. During bathing, when you come out of your washroom, before you eat, when you come home, and any other, when you realize that you have gotten yourself into contact with so many people, over here you shake hands, you rub up somebody, you are picking germs. So just be conscious of the germs around you and use products that can protect you from germs like Lifebuoy does.
The sales personnel believe the purpose for the occasion is being realized.
We are telling them that Lifebuoy is a soap to use. If you have a soap, it's not just an ordinary soap. If you have a soap that can kill germs, it's something we have to welcome, and it's a good thing Lifebuoy is doing. It's not everybody who actually knows how to wash hands. People don't really know they have to wash their fingers and all of that, in between their fingers and all of that. So we are here to teach them on how to wash their hands very well. They are imbibing what you're teaching them.
According to them, the sensitization will continue across the country.
Now, South Africa's President Jacob Zuma has told the nation to begin planning for Nelson Mandela's birthday on 18 July. The former president, a global statesman who will turn 95, remains critically ill in hospital in Pretoria. And the Russian President Vladimir Putin has told fugitive former CIA analyst Edward Snowden to stop leaking U.S. secrets if he wants to remain in the country. He said Moscow had never extradited anyone before and has no intention to do so, adding Snowden was free to go if granted asylum elsewhere. And then Egypt's army has given the country's rival parties 48 hours to resolve a deadly political crisis. The army would offer a roadmap for peace if Islamist President Mohamed Morsi and his opponents fail to heed the will of the people. Fabio, by way of international news. Winners of the 2013 President's Cup after defeating MTN FA Cup finalist Midiama SC 2-0 this evening at the Accra Sports Stadium. SWAG Premiership Player of the Year and captain of the Phobians, Mahatma Otu, hit a brace early on to settle matters in the game that was played under the watch of President John Dramani Mahama and Sports Minister Free Nkrumah. Meanwhile, DR Congo side TP Mazembe beat Enugu Rangers 2-0 to annex the 2013 President's Cup bronze. Ghanaian midfielder Gladson Awako and Zambian Hichani Himonde scored in either half to send the former CAF champions through. The 2013 edition of the GACA organized competition saw 4 clubs playing to mark Ghana's Republic Day celebrations, and we say congratulations to Hearts of Oak for winning the President's Cup. Now, patrons of this year's Ghana Meets Niger concert, without a doubt, had lots of fun, but one artist gave them a lot more to cheer about. The rap doctor Kwame put up a rather impressive show, but what people will remember most is the great fall he suffered in the arms of TV presenter Amanda GC.
Kwame made an interesting entry in the company of other musicians like Obo, who were singing along to his songs. The performance of his hit song, Faithful, will however remain on the minds of many for a long time. Bertha, also known as Yaya, who was featured on the song, was not available to perform with Ochame, so he settled for TV presenter Amanda GC to perform the duet. And well, she fitted in perfectly. In fact, she gave a good account of herself. But it was how the act ended that really got fans calling for more.
Right, so I checked with Amanda GC and she is just fine. No broken bones, she tells me. The 2013 VGMA Artist of the Year to-bes have lost out on this year's BET Best International Act Africa Award to Nigerian singer Ice Prince.
Our two-bes got nominated in the Best International Act Africa category, alongside popular Nigerian artists Ice Prince and Two-Face Idibia, as well as Uganda's Weasel, South Africa's Toya Delazi and Donald. The duo really looked forward to the BET Best International Act Award, especially when their fellow Tema-based rapper Sarkodie had jointly picked up a similar award with Nigeria's Wizkid last year. Our two-bes, however, lost out to Ice Prince of Nigeria, who now becomes the BET Best International Act for Africa of the year 2013. Ice Prince took to Twitter after he was announced the winner and wrote, "We won the BET 2013 award at the Staples Center LA Live. Words cannot describe this. God bless you." He becomes the 4th Nigerian artist to have won a BET award since Two-Face, D'banj and Wizkid.
Well, that's it for the bulletin. Before we go, though, a quick run through our top stories. President Mahama has directed the Attorney General to begin to consider possible prosecution of persons found to have misappropriated public funds in the Auditor General's report. Fuel prices have remained unchanged at the bi-weekly review by the Petroleum Authority. And more than half of the babies born in northern Ghana, according to UNICEF, die before they are a month old. Ghana and 5 others are to benefit from a $7 billion assistance from the U.S. government to double access to electricity in sub-Saharan Africa. And despite his failing health, South Africans have been told to start working at the celebration of Nelson Mandela's 95th birthday. That's it for the bulletin. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Reliant. Have a good evening.